What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be reviewing Legendary Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, an expansion for Legendary Marvel or Legendary Marvel Studios, the first 10 years, or whatever version of a core set you have for Legendary. There are a lot of them. The game has been going on for quite a while. Now, this is published by Upper Deck Entertainment and designed by Devin Low. We have been eagerly awaiting a new expansion for the MCU version. We collect stuff. We're trying to keep our Legendary collection in this box, or at least manageable. So on that note, I'm going to be quiet now and let Julie tell you a little bit more about the game itself.
So it is a cooperative game for 1 to 5 players. It plays in about 60 minutes for 2 players, can go up quite a long time if you're playing up to 5 players. We've seen a 3-hour game?
No, not 3-hour game. Closer, I'd say, about the 2-hour mark.
Okay, I thought it was a longer game. Yes, and it's for ages 14 and above.
Well, if people drag their feet, it can definitely hit 3 hours. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. So, what will you be doing in Legendary? Well, if you're just fans of Guardians of the Galaxy and you stumbled upon this video, well, in this game, you're going to be recruiting heroes from the HQ. Now, these cards are face down specifically because of the scheme that is going on. We're trying to escape the kill. The big bad is Ego, the Living Planet. So what we're going to be doing is building up our deck of cards as a deck builder, gaining recruit points and fight points. We're going to need to defeat the villains and meet the conditions to defeat the mastermind and make sure that we do not fall victim to the scheme that's active. We'll be adding these heroes to the deck. They're all different Guardians. So you've got Rocket, Gamora, Groot, Drax, Mantis, and Star-Lord. So the full crew from the movies that were actual Guardians. Nebula didn't quite make the cut, but don't worry. She'll be in the villains deck, which have the Ravagers and the followers of Ronan. So we talked about Ego. You also have the big bad of Ronan as well. So you get to change up your game a little bit. You also have to take in some of the content from the core box. You just get this little box, so it is not a standalone game. And it's not something you can really kind of chuck together without some of these core cards like the Wounds, Bystanders, and Shield Agents. So on that note, I think I've talked enough about the game.
I think it's time to take it to the table, so let's grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend and fellow hero.
We're going to take it to the table one more time.
One more time. Let's defeat Ego, the Living Planet. Now I'm going to take a look at the components for Marvel Legendary Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is the second expansion that goes with the MCU set. So you do get a new rule sheet. It talks about the just some of the changes, the symbol for the Guardians expansion, the new divided cards, artifacts, triggered artifacts, and villainous weapons. There's also excessive violence, excessive kindness, command, and then just some information on Ego the Living Planet, how he works as well. So it also explains any relation to previously released Guardians of the Galaxy set if you have the comic book version. So definitely going to be going through this at this point in time as I'm going to be sleeving the game. I'm just taking a look at the components and haven't gone through the rules. So what we get here for components, we've got the different schemes. So provoke the Sovereign Fleet, unleash the Aboleth Space Monster, escape the Kiln Prison, and Star-Lord's Awesome Mixtape. So these are the new schemes that you get for the game. There will be new villains. In this case, we have the followers of Ronan. So new villains. As you can see, you've got Nebula, Korath. Pretty cool. We have here the Ravagers. So as you can see, the villainous weapons, the Yaka Arrow, the Starship, Scavenge Blade, and then we've got Yondu, Taserface, Kraglin. So you've got some of the famous Ravager characters. And until everything is me, we've got the villain stuff for Ego, all the different forms of Ego, the Living Planet. And then here we've got the Mastermind set for Ronan as the Kree. So sorry, I apologize. These are the two villain sets. And Ego is actually a Mastermind set. So these are the big bads. These are the followers that you're going to be mixing in depending on the setup they can be using for the specific scheme. Now, for heroes, we've got Mantis. So we'll take a look at her ability, which is excessive kindness. You get +1 to damage equal to the cost of the hero you recruited this way, so that's pretty cool. You see the type of cards, the Guardian of the Galaxy set, and she focuses on those that excessive kindness trait. You got some of her divided cards, which is between it showcases Mantis and then Ego. Now, divided card, you can use this effect or this effect, which is pretty cool. We're not going to go through all the details of all the heroes as we'd be here for a long time. Really just want to showcase the components so you can see what you get. Here we've got Star-Lord, who's got triggered artifact. The first time you play an artifact each turn, including this one, you gain +3 damage. So that's pretty cool. Don't need that stuff. Star-Lord. Divided cards are with him and Yondu. Expandable helmet, so he's got a lot of science gear and for a Nova Blaster. So it's very much in thematic. In theme with the character and how he's presented in the films. We've got Rocket and Groot, and I do like the fact that they are put together and the card is called We Are Groot. So reveal your hand, you get +1 damage for each different card name in your hand. Each divided card has 2 different card names, so you can get a lot of effects there. You've got Rocket and Groot cards, obviously. You got some tech like Gravity Mines. You even got Baby Groot showing up in the divided cards. So that's pretty cool. And I really like what I see there. So, I mean, Rocket's going to be excessive violence and Groot's going to be excessive kindness. We've got Drax the Destroyer. So, double the damage you have, excessive violence. You may KO a villain from your victory pile to do its fight effect, so you can even do more damage if you got to take some stuff out. So in this case, you've got one of the Nova Corps members. I do not remember his name. I'm going to bring this just a little closer, take one of these cards off camera so I can see what his name is. It is Ronan Defy, I think. Don't recognize the character. He wasn't really named. Here we've got the Nova Prime, the Prison Riot card, and nothing goes over my head. So pretty cool stuff. Like what I'm seeing here. And then last but not least, we've got Gamora. The card's +5 damage. And if you drew at least 2 cards this turn, you get an extra 2 damage. So she's going to be in like a truck. Still a Necroblaster. Divided cards with Nebula, which is very fitting. Her retractable sword. Resourceful Fugitive, because she does get out a lot of stuff, and then sharpening her blade, so everything really works with the Gamora theme. So there you have it. We've taken a look at the components. Now, Julie and I are going to talk to you in more detail about the new mechanics. We'll start focusing on that and go through our entire review of this expansion. It's been a while since we've got Marvel Legendary back to the table, and this was the perfect excuse to do so. Keep it right here. We'll be back. I think faster than the Milano, but I'm not sure. Those space travel effects are pretty quick in Guardians. So, Julie, we got one of your favorites back to the table, Legendary. This time it was Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. What did you think of this expansion, and did you have fun playing Legendary for the first time in probably at least a year?
It was very refreshing, actually, to bring it back to the table. I remembered why I enjoy it as much as I do. It's really a lot of fun to play. Excuse me. So, what do I want to say? I think I'm going to start with the Guardians themselves. So I felt like they're pretty thematic, and I did enjoy having them. I like the cards, the different things that they do. I like the artifacts, the addition of the artifacts. I thought that those were a nice addition.
I really like the villainous weapons as well that can turn into artifacts. So once you beat the bad guy, you get to gain. Sometimes, yeah, once they're in play, if the bad guy has the villainous weapon equipped, it has a triggered artifact deck and it goes into your deck.
What I like less is that you can only use it once.
Not all of them.
Okay, well, the one I finally got my hands on.
I have a bunch of them, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, the one I finally got. So I've had, I still enjoyed the game, even though I had quite a bit of bad luck. So the entirety of the scheme twists and the master strikes.
Well, the master strikes weren't so bad, at least on this last one against Ego. Like, in terms of hitting.
What I mean is, I got them all.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The scheme twist, yes. The master strikes, no.
And the game before as well, I got the majority. So I was very unlucky with the card draws this weekend.
I will agree. Ronan's master strikes were a lot more annoying than Ego's.
But I have to say, at least I got the massive. It took me a long time to get started because I kept getting hit by scheme twists at the beginning, and I just couldn't get anything going. But I finally did, and the last play was it a double or triple?
I think you hit Ego 3 times in a row. He doesn't have the highest amount of life, so you can hit him multiple times at the end, but you're essentially trying to destroy all the city spaces. His Master Strikes becomes extra city spaces, so it took a long time to even get one hit on Ego, because we were basically trying to hit for 12, 13 right off the bat.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's on that note. I can't say I enjoyed the villains that much.
And I have to agree with you. I don't dislike the villains necessarily, but they're definitely not my favorites. I will say that in our first game against Ronan, I did not think we had a great time. That's probably on me more than anything else. We just ended up with bloated decks because of the way the mechanics worked. Also with the scheme twist, which was, the scheme was to capture the beast that you saw in the beginning of Guardians Volume 2. And not necessarily a bad pairing, but without a lot of co-mechanics, it was painful. And I had the Hydra Spies as the henchmen. I should have used the 10-ring Fanatics. Now, if you've got a slimmed down set, like we have, like you're just going for the MCU related cards, I would say almost exclusively, if you're using Henchmen Villains and only one set, always pick the 10-ring Fanatics, just because the ability to KO some of your weaker cards is something that you don't want to be missing.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't apply to me till almost the very end. I had a lot of wounds to get rid of, so when I was KOing cards, it was the wounds when I could. So that really, I mean, even in my last hand, I had another
Looking
wound.
over here, I had not too many wounds, but I was able to KO quite a few cards.
Yeah, I think I got 4 out, so
it made a big difference towards the end of the game.
Anyways, it was a lot of fun. Neither play really took us more than an hour, so that was great.
Yeah, even though I thought the Eagle one was going to be dragging and we're going to be stuck playing for a while, I was like, this might be a 2-hour game. No, once we ramped up, it definitely went rather smoothly.
So the other thing that's new, I would say, and hopefully you can see this, but we have the double cards now, so where you can pick one or the other, and I thought that was pretty interesting. I had actually a lot of them are a little bit on the lower cost side, and I had a lot more of those than in my deck, and they were fun. I mean, this one, the last one I picked up, but luckily I got to use it once. Was with Rocket and Groot, and it hit pretty hard actually. Groot can hit for 3, so when I tied that in with Gamora and Drax, it hit.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed the excessive kindness and excessive violence mechanic that they added. Very thematic to the Guardians. I like the fact that you got some cool abilities if you were recruiting a hero for at least 1 more than the recruit cost, or if you're dealing damage to a villain for at least 1 more than their fight value. Now, the one thing I will say is that when you have a lot of artifacts and stuff, it can get a little tricky to track everything that you're doing. And there were definitely some mistakes that I made, but overall, I think it flowed smoothly. It's just, it can get complicated when you're like, I'm going to try to do excessive kindness to get this damage, then trigger this excessive violence effect, which let me trigger this effect, which then I'll play this card to do this. So that is something that I'll say happened with this expansion that I don't think I've ever had happen in any of our plays of Legendary. No. And we have quite a few different versions of the game. Now, it's not a bad thing. Ronan and Ego get pretty beefed up, so you do need to hit them hard, but it's a little tricky. So just keep that in mind. Whereas I would say that you could play Legendary with younger players, I would say that especially this expansion with all the different mechanics to trigger, you're going to want to skew just a little bit older than you normally would.
Yep.
I don't really have that much more to add, except I want to just give you my thoughts on the Guardians as well. As Julie said, they're incredibly thematic. I really enjoyed the way they all worked. Surprise, surprise, I think Mantis was actually my favorite Guardian. Mantis and Gamora, they worked very well together. Rocket and Groot, I like their cards, but we never really got their main hero cards. But Mantis's excessive kindness, which would let you gain damage, also buy cards really easily, put them at the top of your deck, KO cards. She's just a really fun character to have. And Drax's excessive violence was incredibly thematic and just a great time. I do want to mention, though, we only have the MCU set. I like the movie stills. This is the way that we interact with Marvel. I know the comics. As you can see, we have large collections. We have all of Marvel Champions for those of you that follow the channel. We're really trying to keep Legendary small because it is way bigger than Champions. So, happy with what we got, but if you don't like movie stills, this may not be the expansion for you. Now, on that note, I think we've talked enough about all the new stuff. I really like everything that we got. Oh, wait, sorry, we should talk a little bit more just about the villains, what we didn't like about them.
Well, I just didn't like. I think you talked about it. For me, it was mainly that I didn't like the way the schemes were coming up on Ronan. I didn't mind Ego too much. It was different. At first, I thought I wasn't gonna like it because, it basically it kind of saved our backsides a couple of times because adding more cityscapes gave us time.
Before stuff escaped.
Before stuff escaped, so that did save us a couple of times. So I honestly didn't mind Ego as much. I would just say I guess what I would say is that their scheme twists and master strikes were more on the annoying side, I would say. And
we did not play all of the different schemes. There's quite a few more, but the schemes are definitely a little bit more involved than some of the other ones. So it really depends on the type of experience that you want to get to the table. I like the variety. I like being able to play it with that level of depth. That being said, I don't think that you and I are looking to play a deep game with Legendary, which I think is why we found it a little bit more annoying. We're looking to get the cards to the table, go bang, bang, boom with the villains, have a good time, and just play something that is fairly smooth. Now, I like that level of complexity is available, though, because this makes the game more appealing to come out, say, at a game night when we're going to be like, all right, let's pick a more complicated villain, let's pick a more complicated scheme, and let's go with some other gamers and have a good time. But for just playing an hour on an evening after a long day of work, I like it just a little bit more clean, straightforward.
So for me, I'm going to say this is, despite the fact that I didn't love, I'm still going to give it an 8.
So I'm gonna go.
I would say I didn't love the villains. I still really enjoyed everything else, the new mechanics of the artifacts, the split cards. So I'm gonna leave it with. I'm gonna keep an 8.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5, just because I think that there's a little bit of overkill on the mechanics and the management with everything that you need to do, which I think takes it a little bit. It's really pushing the system to its limits. That being said, I really like it and I enjoy it, but I don't think it is as good as I was hoping that it would be. But it was a great reason for us to get Legendary back on the table. It's also given us a nice refresh to Legendary, and I think you're going to be seeing it on the table, at least in some pictures, a little more often, because I think Julie wants to play it, at least try out some of the other schemes. She might make us pick a different villain, though, for trying some of the harder schemes.
Probably. So on that note, it's time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You can find links to all of our social media feeds: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I playing Legendary, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, there'll be plenty on those feeds. Also down there's a link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. Click that link, you'll get 10% off your next purchase. Great way to support the channel, as a portion of that purchase is returned to us. So looking for a copy of Legendary, or Legendary Guardians of the Galaxy, make sure that you check them out. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release, and in front of Julie, it's going to be our
Legendary X-Files.
Legendary X-Files. Okay, I thought it was going to be Legendary Marvel, but X-Files it is. Legendary Encounters, X-Files, review, and how to play. And on that note, we are now going to
Grab our drink.
grab our best friend and fellow superhero.
And I'm definitely looking forward to bringing this back to the table.
Yeah, we're going to be definitely keeping on playing games. And this one for sure. I mean, look at all the characters on the box. There's so many that aren't in this version of the game yet.